Hey, what's up, y'all? Metta World Peace here. So, as my name changed to World Peace, 2000, I think it was 2011, being from the biggest federal housing project in America. And when you talk about like a federal housing project and being able to get different benefits, but it's also a lot of things that's not beneficial. Maybe it could be violence in the neighborhood one day. Or maybe as a benefit, you might get Medicaid. Maybe your family doesn't have enough ends to meet, so then the government takes care of you. But one thing we understand is, it's one of the most powerful structures, and being in the biggest one in America, it's like we've experienced so much that we got a good perspective on a lot globally. Because we're essentially a project. We've grown up literally in a project, and then seeing so much balance, stuff like that will make you want to change your name to World Peace. Not everybody, but just, particularly myself. And then being the first athlete, I actually was the first athlete to respond, I think, on October 7th when we saw what happened in Israel, and then also being one of the few, there's a few people out there responding to the starvation of the people of Palestine. And you can be right twice, or you can do right twice. You don't have to necessarily pick a side. Oh, I supported one side and I didn't support the other side, or different things like that. Or since I support one side, I can't necessarily support something else that's wrong in terms of the messaging. I think you can do both, and I think in this world you got to have that now, especially more than ever. Because there are a lot of people that have power that don't really understand how to use it. They only work from a place of emotion and hate, and I think you're supposed to work from a place of love. There are many things I'm going to talk about on my podcast, which is why I turned down a lot of traditional sports podcasts. A lot of people wanted me to do podcasts and stuff. I turned them all down. Yeah, it could have been good money. I could have made good money. I've done a lot of stuff, entertainment, built my name up over the years. But I didn't want to do it because just some of the people that was offering me these podcast deals, condescending, very one-track minded, put you in a box. Hey Metta, we want you to do a sports podcast. You should talk like this. It'll be great. People will love it. Well, yeah, people will love it, but is it changing the trajectory of our culture? Are we getting our culture back? Because we had culture over 500 years ago, and the culture we have now is not true culture, right? The stuff that people talk about, like the black excellence. Black excellence, the term black was made by people that colonized us 500, 600 years ago. But before that, our bloodline was really, really incredible. Not any better than your bloodline. I'm just saying our bloodline was really incredible. We had a lot of kings, queens, we had structure, we had our own language, and different things that made us happy. And then we got pulled in to, things that we're just not familiar with. I hear people often say dumb jock. So somebody that's been enslaved for years and years, whose family's been enslaved, really don't know the system, economic systems. But then you have people that were just like, oh, you know what? You're dumb. You're a dumb jock. You don't know anything. This has happened. This is real stories. It don't matter that you didn't have an opportunity. It don't matter that your parents and the lineage of the oppression was there. It don't matter. You're just a dumb jock. But it's not everybody. I want to say there are a lot of great people out there in the world, but there are people out there that takes advantage of the opportunity to down someone who came from the bloodline of 500 years of slavery. And then we had to relearn. We actually had to learn, not even relearn. We had to learn this new system. Economics, venture capital, private equity, entrepreneurship, filling out paperwork, reading, law, whatever you're trying to do in your life, on top of trying to eat, fill your belly. Luckily, we have programs out there, because without some of the programs, when you're hungry, you create, you can create different acts, which is why the world hunger is very, very important. When you look at, I've seen people go to jail because they forgot to eat breakfast. That sounds really crazy, right? It sounds weird. So how would somebody go to jail because they forgot to eat breakfast? Because they was cranky and they probably let a shot off, or they probably got in trouble, committed a crime, because they was trying to get food, or they got in an argument, domestic violence argument, and the whole time they were hungry, you know. And you don't realize that's how the body works. The body's like, hey, give me this food now. And when you look at what's happening in Gaza, one of the major issues are you're getting people that's not only starving and dying, but it's starting to get agitated, right? And so now you got millions or hundreds of thousands of people, you know, getting agitated. Hunger is a real thing. So it's like different things like that. Why I changed my name to World Peace. Obviously, you know, I grew up in a place where, you know, we used to have to. I remember in New York City, guns is not allowed, but there used to be guns present at the games. You know, there used to be a lot of different, and a lot of people that was present at the games. A lot of the people were called thugs, because a lot of people used that opportunity to take advantage to call a lot of people from my culture thugs when they didn't have no parents, but the parents are locked up in prison. A lot of the parents are locked up in prison, but they used that as an opportunity to say this thug, and then they put us in a bad light in the media globally. So people say, oh yeah, all these black kids and these guys are thugs, and why would you do business with them? And this was just a message that was being put out there, and it was a cleansing of who we really were, who our real, you know, what our real soul and heart was about. You know, when you look at, you know, my culture, naturally we come out the womb with swag, so that's like something really special. I mean, when you look at what's been the biggest influence in sports around the world globally, yeah, soccer's bigger than basketball, but you can make an argument that Michael Jordan, LeBron James, you know, Bill Russell, these are all American athletes that came from slave blood, right? Metta, World Peace, these are all American athletes that came from slave blood, let alone the entertainers. It's just because, you know, it's just different. Everybody has a different superpower or something different that's special about them versus us. So when you look at, you know, our specialty is that swag, and also intelligence. You look at a lot of the technology that's here right now on this earth. It came from my bloodline. I'm not saying all of it. I'm not gonna go that far, but I'm gonna say, you know, a lot of it. You know, when you look at where our bloodline came from, well, we all know that we were ethnically cleansed. It was bad, but you know, so when we lost our language, which we're still trying to find, we're finding bits and pieces of it. We got to do it behind the scenes because people don't really want us to, you know, come back with our own language and different things like that. But you have to, it's your culture. You just can't give up on your culture. You know, when you look at the stuff that we wore, the religions that we were a part of, the different things that we believed, it might not have been religion, because naturally we're a people of love. And you look at our skin color, you know, the only reason we were called black, that came from someone else. That never came from us. You don't call Nigerian black, you call them Nigerian. Or you don't call like Ethiopian black, you call them Ethiopian, right? And so, but you'll call us black. And when you look at the terminologies, you're not gonna give a people that you just enslaved a great terminology to look good. You give them the worst terminology, even though black is a great color. I really love wearing black. I wear black all the time. But when you look at the definition in the dictionary, dark, you know, evil, you know, and that's kind of how they painted us. But when you look at the definition of brown, chocolate, love, look at the definition of our skin color, and look at the definition in the Webster's dictionary, and that's you know, that comes out naturally, and that's who we know. That's how we know that we came from not only greatness but also love and purity, which is why when others are harmed in this world, you know, we feel a certain way about it. Now, yeah, some people got to go on with their daily lives, but it's never going to it's never going to get you to a point where you don't care, where you don't feel for other people, white or black or any color. You know, there is no real physical white person. There's not a physically black person. There's no perfect white person, and there's no evil black person, right? That's not true. Colors, the skin is not formed like that. If you ever saw a black person or a white person, they would be aliens, right? It's only the beige, dark brown, light brown, and different shades of brown, and all colors of brown. And you look at the definition, it means love. And I think that's a perfect definition. I think they got some things right. Some things they couldn't change in the dictionaries because you just can't change everything. It's too much. This world is complicated. And whoever designed it in the beginning, you know, I think So some did a good job, some did a bad job, but you just can't change everything. But now that we broke that code on who we are as humans, I just broke the code for y'all. We are people of love. Look at everybody's skin color. Look at the definition. It's going to give you some type of warm definition. So you are great. You are a person of love. You're not a person of hate. And then it'd be great in hundreds and hundreds of years from now where people would say, oh, wow, they used to fight? Wow. Yeah, that's what we want. We want y'all to be, we want the future to be incredibly well. And you know, there's opportunities to capitalize, which you should, but we also want to give you the encouragement and empowerment and the knowledge to take care of others, take care of your fellow humans, but also, yeah, go live your life if you can. If there's opportunities for you to go buy a big house or do different things like that, that's pretty cool, right? So we're not saying don't do that, but we're also saying be a person of love. And it's going to be, you know, there is going to be a shift. You know, when you look at you know, from the time I guess we became about, from the time of existence, from the time of when humans first stepped on this planet, where maybe we came from somewhere else. We don't truly know, right? We don't truly know, but it changed hands all the time. There was great kingdoms and this and that. But I think the people that last the longest are the people of love, the people that's trying to just move this world forward. And I think we should explore. You have to get out of this orbit. If you're an explorer naturally, you got to find ways to explore. You don't want to just leave it up for one person. I know there's lots of great people doing great things, but that's just big entities. I think individually you got to also explore. You know, you gotta keep, you know, pick your chin up and look up. You know, and you can do it. We have confidence in you. We believe in you. This message is more about peace, world peace. Even though some people they'll try to mock things that I've been through, things I've done in my career. But you know, we don't really get into that. You know, we don't really pay attention to that because, you know, when you grow up and you know your friends is being murdered and you know, a lot of, you know, you don't know how the amount of drugs is the large amount that's just flooding, and then the parents, you know, are all of a sudden strung out. You know, the son or the daughter is like, you know, following the same footsteps, or you know, people don't understand that. But what they do, I want y'all to understand what they do. And this is a separate group of people I'm talking to. Some people are just like, you know, they want to see people down. They're real haters, there's millions of them. And I talk to them separately than how I'm talking to you, the people of love. But I also want y'all to know the story. You know, as people look down on y'all, they'll say, well, you know, this guy's a thug, or this guy's a bad person. But they never talk about, oh, this guy's parents, you know, they're locked up, or they had kids too early, you know, or they had no reference point on how to raise a family, or no food to even feed the family. So the son or the daughter grew up, and it was pretty sad. And so that's the narrative where I want you to start pushing with me. You know, tell these stories. These stories are very important when you get a chance to tell a story of someone that's that you might perceive as kind of misunderstood, or you might perceive as a thug. Please go and tell a story of, oh, I wonder how this parent was. Oh, I found out information about their parents, and you know what? It's really sad to see this kid grow up like that, but he didn't have parents, and you know what? We're going to be there for that child, and we'll be there for your children too. We'll give more of these messages. Metta World Peace. We out.